He made it happen. That was my right-hand man.
Welcome, everyone, to the Nevin Shapiro Fan Club experience here. I'm here with Nevin Shapiro, one of the godfathers of UM, and we're here today to discuss a lot of things pertaining to the University of Miami. The point of this podcast is to give Nevin's side of the story. I feel like, the media has twisted a lot of things, and there's three sides to every story. There's your side, their side, and the truth. And even in the short time that we've known each other, I have seen a very different side of things than I even pertained as a fan. And there's nobody better, obviously, to tell the story than the man himself who was involved in all of it. And I just believe that everyone can make their own opinions after this, but maybe there's going to be, and I believe there's going to be a lot of people that are going to change their opinions a little bit once they hear your side of everything. It's just not fair to only hear one side. You were away for a while, and that's the whole point of this. So I hope everybody enjoys, and let's get into the action. So just to start, who is Nevin Shapiro? Start and kind of educate the viewers of people who don't know yet.
Thank you for asking me to do this.
Yes.
And there's so much that has come out that is not true, not accurate. One thing that can't be avoided is there was a definitive conflict between myself and the former University of Miami players, which really arose as a result of getting into my case discovery, and it was just really heartbreaking. I've given maybe one or two interviews specific to this. It's going to probably take the form of a documentary, inevitably.
Right.
If not a movie or whatever comes about, just specifically related to the University of Miami story, scandal, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But, in hindsight, and I will answer, who am I? But in hindsight, it's something that it's a very regrettable situation. I know from both my end and some of the former players that maybe should not have spoken in the context of which I was not pleased with.
Right.
And, as you get older, you look back on your younger self and you see things that you would have certainly done different. You're still a young guy and haven't had a chance to go through the gamut of life yet.
Mm-hmm.
But, I've looked back on some past interviews of mine and comments I've made. And, I'm an emotional guy and a sensitive guy, a really great, great heart. And, family's family. And when you consider someone family, you expect them to be family through the good times and the bad. And, there's a lot I wish that didn't take place. And I've told a few different people, whoever I've spoken to, that this was really like having a fight with your little brother, in this case, that should have just stayed in-house.
Right.
And unfortunately, and I take my share of the blame, unfortunately, my case was a very high-profile situation, and it took on a life of itself. And I didn't do myself any favors by, in the eyes of the fan base, certainly. But I'm you. I'm you. I'm a diehard you guy. And to look back and see, what kind of situation I ended up with, really my greatest passion outside of, my family and life and business and work.
Right.
The University of Miami football program, it's sort of surreal to me that I found myself in that situation.
Yeah. I think most of the fans, just didn't understand that aspect of it. And one of the things I know that I've even heard from my friends, family, people in University of Miami is kind of like, how did he even start for you as far as the booster part of it and getting involved? How did it start from the beginning?
Well, I became a fan. So I'm 55 now. I moved to Miami in 1975. So I've been a fan since really 1978, 79. And I was cheering when Jim Kelly was a freshman. And we were going to the my Optimus football program, my Pee Wee team, 75-pounders or whatever we were. We were able to go to the Orange Bowl. If you wore your pads, you could get in there.
Right.
Like, free. I forgot. I don't remember exactly. But,
right.
Like, the stadium was empty.
Yeah.
We were sitting in the West End zone. It was like our end zone because there's no one else there.
Right.
And, we sucked. Like, we weren't good. And the first real true upset that I witnessed was, I think we beat Penn State on the road when they were ranked number 1. Maybe they were top 5. Jim Kelly. And then the following year, I believe, we beat them again. Or if it wasn't the following year, it was the year after. Jim Kelly was there. It was in the Orange Bowl. It was really a great thrill. But the real, passion, real exuberance and joy came from that 83 team when we won the national title with Bernie Kosar. And from then, it was just such a magical ride that season. I remember like it was yesterday. And I'm no different than you or any other Miami fan. Man, I love that program. And if someone talks shit about it, I had a problem. So I get it. While people felt the way they felt or still feel the way they feel about me. But their perception of me and what my value was to that program and really how much that program meant to me is way off base.
Right.
From what the real narrative is.
Of course.
I gave blood to that place. And, we'll get into it.
Right.
But there's so many false narratives, which are all documented within.
Right.
No former players have come out and spoken again. I mean, why would they? I love those guys. And vice versa.
Right.
You know what I mean? Except for the ones that maybe spoke out of turn than they shouldn't have. But in hindsight, I look back now on that and I see, a lot of them were, if not all of them, were young kids about to get money for the first time in their lives. And they were scared. And when the feds show up to talk to you at 22, 21, you're going to talk probably.
Yeah.
And I'm older now. I can look back and I see a lot of videos and content of me. Yeah, I was pissed off. I was hurt more than I was angry.
Right.
And, but we'll get into the conversation. Right. And, I don't, for those who've already decided their opinion on me, that's cool.
Yeah, no. And all.
You just get the real story.
Right. All we're asking for the viewers is to just be open to hearing your story. You know what I mean? And they can make their own opinions from there.
I've never ducked recreation.
Yeah.
I'll answer anything.
Yeah.
Anyone that speaks to me, and I tell them before they speak to me, as I said to you, don't come in soft. Bring me the kitchen sink.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, I'm transparent about this. And, now it's not even a legal situation. It's far surpassed whatever insanity I was involved in. With
right.
What's going on with NIL today.
Yeah.
And, I was just ahead of the curve. And
for you, were you at all shocked that your life kind of took this direction?
Well, certainly. I never, there's a huge misconception about me that I was a fraud.
Right.
I was very, very, I was extremely wealthy at a young age.
Right.
Self-made. And my problems really began 2007, 2008 as a result of some lenders who didn't pay their tabs, and I ended up upside down. Now, that doesn't denote my responsibility and accountability for the situation, but to think that I was taking my lender's money and buying stuff for the kids, I was financing that out of my pocket.
Right.
Going back 2001.
Is that when it started? Was it 2000? What was the year you started booster?
I became a booster March 2001.
Okay.
So I had from the back end some handprints on that 2001 team specifically.
Yeah.
But I really took off internally in an integral part that following season.
Yeah.
I began that 2001, but 2002 I was head over heels doing backflips for this program.
Right.
The year we lost to Ohio State. Those are the facts. Anything you hear otherwise is bullshit, and nobody can contest the.
Right.
As you've seen, I left you in my apartment with every single piece of documentation. Did I not?
You did? Yeah. I've seen it all.
And I left for 3-4 hours and just let you go through whatever you want.
Yeah.
So would you say that any of that stuff's photoshopped?
No. And it also shows really who you are. You know what I mean? And that's really why I was so interested in sitting down. Because, again, the image is so tainted from the media and from the University of Miami on what's not really the reality.
Let me comment on that.
Yeah.
And I don't care who I put under the bus.
Uh-huh.
Because there's no love lost in war.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the Miami Herald had no choice but to crush me. Because the University of Miami is like the biggest supporter to the Miami Herald.
Right.
So we're talking about Barry Jackson, who's the Herald sports writer. I've known Barry since high school. I was Barry's insider for years. So Barry wasn't dropping dimes on the public. I was dropping dimes on the public.
Yeah.
For Barry. So when I went away, it wasn't like he had such a good in on what was going on with the NCAA, except I was speaking to him by email and letting him know what was going on.
Right.
And I'm not trying to kick Barry's back in, but you can never trust the media in general. That's how
true.
It is. Just look at our current, or past presidential situation, which has resolved itself out.
Mm-hmm.
Will change in a matter of 10 days or 2 weeks or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that's one. Then there was the component of my case. So Jay Weaver he's the reporter, the main reporter for all the crime stuff and the stuff that comes out of the federal courts and whatnot. And there was another conflict of interest there. So they didn't want the truth.
Right.
They wanted what was the best narrative for them and the University of Miami and public figures in Miami. And okay, that's cool. But I'm free and I'm here. And now I'm going to tell the story the way it really is.
Right.
And document with receipts and otherwise. We're not going back over the Miami situation. I love the U. And I would love to see them back where they belong. Let's just make that clear. I'm not going to rehash the University of Miami scandal in that situation. It's not necessary. There'll be some stories along the way because they're entertaining, but certainly no different than what goes on today, except for real money.
Right. And pertaining between, the whole scandal, what do you think is the biggest misunderstanding between you and the fan base?
Well, the biggest misunderstanding, for one, is that I had no role and I was lying.
Right.
Let's clarify that. I was the CEO behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Period. I had a lot of say in what was going on. I didn't have all the say, which is sort of why our record started diminishing 2004 and after. Had I been able to really do the things that I saw was necessary at that time, we would have never hit that roadblock where we still haven't recovered,
right,
so to speak, even though we should have with Cam Ward.
And I think that's a pivotal point in this whole thing is, so 2005 to 2009 was when we really hit this descent. What do you think it really, not even in your opinion, what was it?
Well, I'm going to tell the fan base exactly what it was, because they can't run around saying Nevin Shapiro ruined the program. No, Nevin Shapiro kept the program alive better than it would have been while I was there, 2005 to 2010.
Right.
Beginning 2010. I got arrested in April 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And by saying that, this is what I mean. I know what took place behind the scenes. We lost an opening game to Louisville. I want to say it was 2005. It may have been 2006. I believe it was 2005. And at that point in time, Paul D., who was the athletic director, God rest his soul, he passed on. Larry Coker was the head coach. Pete Garcia, who inevitably went on to become the FIU athletic director and hired Mario Cristobal,
Mm-hmm.
there was an attempt for him to become the athletic director, fire Larry Coker, and bring back Butch Davis.
Okay. And
That is a fact.
that's around 2005.
It's right after the Miami-Louisville game where Miami lost 31-7.
Right.
It's not around. That's when it was. That's exactly
To clarify for the fans, what year? Do you remember the year?
It was 2000. Just look at the first game of the season where Miami played at Louisville.
Right. I think it was 05. Something around 05, 06, if I remember correctly. Could be wrong, but I think it's around
Brian
there.
Pata had a sack on like the first drive. That's what I do.
Right. Right.
Okay. Just to check my memory for those who think.
Now, were they restricting you? Or like, did they start to figure out that maybe you were kind of like what?
No, not at all. I was behind the scenes. I wasn't the one who tried to make that move.
Mm-hmm.
I just happened to be privy to that information that was the move.
Right. Right.
And Donna Shalala fired Pete Garcia. That's what.
Why?
Right? Well, because she wasn't going to let that happen. They gave Larry Coker a new contract, who, by the way, is a sweetheart of a man. So there's no ill whatsoever.
Right.
But business is business, and the Miami fan base needs the answers. Right? They need the answers.
Right.
They got to make someone the scapegoat. It's not going to be me.
Yeah.
They're going to get the real.
Right.
And here's the real. Donna Shalala and Paul D. re-upped Larry Coker's contract when he was not deserving. And in fact, should have been let go. Not re-upped.
Right.
That's where the problem is.
Okay.
He inherited a gold mine. So for people to say...
Oh, that was Butch Davis's team. It really was.
People say anything other than that. And, you know, there's been one former player, and for the sake of me not getting dirty, I'm not going to bring his name up, but he said, "Oh, you never want to chip under your." And yes, we did. Yes, we did. And there's a reason why he wasn't in that circle of mine. For the reason he came out and spoke, I'll tell you off. I'm just not going to do it.
Right. I understand. No,
that's not the purpose of this interview.
Right.
But, yeah, I was very much involved, and I saw what the problems were, and that's where it all went down. That's where it went down. And they instead of us ascending, like we should have won in 2001, and we obviously got robbed in 2002. Yeah. Instead of us winning back-to-back-to-back titles and then ascending, we went the other way.
Right.
And I don't want to say we've yet to recover, because I think we actually did recover this year. Mm-hmm. And I don't see any reason why we're not playing tomorrow in the Orange Bowl.
It's very sad.
Yeah, it is. And
and we'll get into that in a little bit.
And I've been critical, and I'm going to share why I've been critical about the moves of Mario Cristobal. And I'll let you ask the questions as you see fit.
Yeah,
I like Mario a lot, but I got to call bullshit where I see bullshit, and we'll get into that.
Yeah,
I'm happy to do so.
Right.
And if anyone don't like it, they'd rather be lied to.
Right.
So this is what it is.
Yeah. And the truth of the matter is, before we get into the Cam Ward stuff in the present, you and Butch Davis really built the foundation for that 2001 Miami Hurricanes football team.
Let me correct that for the fan base.
Okay.
Butch Davis and Pete Garcia built that.
Okay.
I had my hand in the back. I was in the back.
Okay.
And I don't take massive credit. I'll take a tiny bit for playing my role. Mm-hmm. But the architects of that 2001 team were Butch Davis and Pete Garcia. And it went from scholarships to guys like Brian McKinney, band scholarships, Santana Moss, even though he wasn't on the 2001 team, track scholarships.
Because we still had the sanctions, restrictions, right.
grand scheme.
Right.
And it was a bad, it was a tough climb back.
Yeah.
And we sucked.
Yeah, we did.
We sucked for real.
Yeah.
The first sign of life was when we beat UCLA 49-45. Edgerrin ran for just about 300 yards.
Yep.
It was a turning point for the program, and then the ultimate turning point was when we beat Florida State on Shockey's touchdown under a minute left in the Orange Bowl, and that was like our exclamation point. We're back.
Is that 99 or 2000?
2000.
Yeah. I remember that.
We got screwed in that game. We should have been voted in. Florida State got the game.
BCS, the Oklahoma.
Beat the fucking shit out of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
We would have beat the fucking shit out of Oklahoma. It would have been in the Orange Bowl. It would have been a beatdown.
Yeah, it would have been bad.
It would have been a beatdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period. A beatdown.
Yep.
So that's the real.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Florida State got a gift.
Stacked. That 2000 team is stacked. Okay. So we knew 2001. It was all or nothing.
Yeah. I mean, anybody could have coached that team.
We gave Larry Coker 6 picks. We gave him the pick 6. All 6 numbers. All he had to do was show up to Publix.
He literally just had to turn the key on.
All he had to do was turn in his lottery ticket.
Yeah. Yeah, it really.
Scratched off.
Right.
And that's just the truth.
Yeah.
And any University of Miami fan out there that wants to go toe-to-toe with me, go far back as you want.
Right.
No one can stay there.
And I know you spoke about this in a previous podcast, but I just want to clear this up for the fans too. Is the 2001 Miami Hurricanes the greatest college football team of all time?
Well, on paper, it's not even close.
Right.
Comparison. If you look at what they've done in the pros and otherwise.
Yeah.
Now, if you're asking me, are they the best University of Miami football team ever? I can tell you that there's guys from the mid-'80s that feel otherwise. And I know that for certain.
Right.
And if you're asking me, which you are,
yeah,
but I'm going to tell you, that 86 team that lost to Penn State, and they took the L. So you got to say, well, they didn't go unscathed.
Right.
That team was so ferocious, nasty, and ahead of its time.
It wasn't defense, that's for sure. It was a lot of interceptions.
Jimmy Johnson, it was hard to do.
Yeah.
He should have sat Testaverde, who had a scooter accident earlier, like a month before, and just started Jeff Toretta, Gino Toretta's older brother, and just handed the ball to Highsmith and Bratton, and our defense would have worked.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That team is up there. And when I see fans talk about 95 Nebraska, man, that was the option. You know what we would have done to that team?
Right.
We would have fucking pummeled that team.
Yeah.
We would have pummeled that team.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think, as far as like, the getting to the edge, that's what really separated Miami was the speed on the outside.
Well, we stopped the option.
Right.
We put that to bed.
Yep.
In the mid-'80s.
Mm-hmm.
And that was our work. Miami changed the fabric of everything.
Yeah.
For all college football. We just this, the forfeit, that's our stuff.
They made rules. They started making rules, and
we were just ahead of the curve, man. We were just sexy business, man. You loved us, you hated us. Miami Vice, it fit the city image. It was a Miami Vice era, Scarface, everything bad that the nation was afraid of.
Yeah.
We fit them all.
That's what has always drawn me to the University of Miami is if you're not with us, you're against us. It's us versus the world, and I love that.
And we used to just go on the road, and I used to travel, even as a young kid. I'd go to some of the road games. And, like, when we played in Gainesville, we were just, I'll never forget, like, Mel Bratton, Jerome Brown, God rest his soul. Man, they were just taunting the entire crowd. It was amazing.
That coin toss versus Oklahoma is probably the greatest.
But the stadium, you could feel it, man. Like that Phil Collins, you could feel it in the air tonight.
Right.
It's really us, man. And that stuff came from that city. Like when Miami wasn't what Miami is today, with Brickell, this and that, the South Beach barely existed.
Right.
And it was just a different era, a different time, and it was us against the world. And we brought it like that. And that's what just got me out of my mind as a Hurricane fan. And for today's younger generation, they have no idea.
Right.
They just have no idea what it really was. What you really, truly stood for.
Yeah.
Because you're basing it on memories now. And that's why I always say it's just time we'll never be the you of what we were. But that's like there'll never be another Beatles.
Right. It's just going to be its own version.
Rolling Stones,
Yeah.
You just look at the classic groups or music groups or teams of all time.
Right.
And, the old school Lakers, the old school Celtics. That's just a moment in time. That was just a beautiful memory.
Right. Right.
So are we back to being the U? We don't have to be back to being the U. Let's just be the U. And go kick some ass and win titles.
Right.
And create our own identity, new identity.
Yeah.
That time is before. That's not coming back.
Right.
It was a Camelot era. It was like a moment in time for the books.
Right.
And college is no longer college. It's no longer amateur athletes. And the world has changed. And it's just not that era.
Yeah.
When people just get out of when people just come away from those glory memories, Cortez Kennedy, he's gone. He passed away.
Jerome Brown
passed away.
Yeah.
Guys move on, they pass on or, they're older men now. They're in their 60s. Michael Irvin got to be approaching close to 60. I'm 55. So they're grandpas.
Yeah. It's been a long time. And obviously the fan base is starving. We know that. We're starving, for just.
And for good reason.
Yeah. And before we get into the present, because we're going to get there, I know I want to put this to bed too.
Yeah.
2019 LSU. That's the last team. You talk about the 95 Cornhuskers. 2019 LSU. And I want you to speak on that because we've talked about this, and I want you to kind of give our fan base.
I'm doing my own. I've done about 4 shoots already.
Yeah.
2001 Miami, 2019 LSU. And I'm just going to point out a few things to you. Okay. Hall of Famers. The potential Hall of Famers on LSU's team. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson would be possibilities. I don't know if Derek Stingley becomes one. But what are we even talking about? 31 first-round picks. 38 players drafted. 35,000 yards, NFL yards. Portis McGahee Gore.
Yeah.
Shockey starting, Winslow backing him up. Sean Taylor off the bench with Antrell Roll and Kelly Jennings.
Ed Reed starting.
And just
Jonathan Vilma.
When I do my video, and everyone's like, well, Burrow would have thrown. Burrow wasn't throwing for nothing. Burrow would have been throwing from his ass. Our defense would have fucking bulldozed that offensive line. And our cornerbacks would have just bulldozed their receivers. They couldn't get off the line.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are fucked up when they think that they would have been close. Listen, I'm going to tell you, Ed Orgeron, the head coach, was down at the Miami practice field, Green Tree, 2 years ago. Not this past summer, the summer before. And they put him on the spot. And he just started laughing because he knows what the fuck would have happened. We didn't fucking roll.
What was his word? So that,
He wasn't arguing. He knows.
Yeah.
He was part of that birth of that Miami shit.
Right. Right.
We would kick the fucking shit out of that team.
Yeah. I think a lot of the people when I read about this, a lot of people talk about the difference in the rules that Miami wouldn't have been able to pounce on them as they wanted to because it would have been targeting, personal fouls, and that would have been the
only thing is, if we would have lost our first starting defense, Sean Taylor and Antrell Roll are coming in behind, and Kelly Jen coming in behind our second, and Vince Wilfork coming off the bench. What are we talking about?
I know. It is, and I'm just clearing this up for the fans. Trust me,
we're the University of Canton. This. What are we talking about?
It really is a stupid subject. It really, again,
talking about the most recent because it's the most recent. Man, and even worse, Miami would have been so motivated had they been hearing all this shit about LSU.
Forget it.
We would have put these fucking guys to sleep, man. And we would have put them to bed early.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, 01 championship. What was it, 34-0 at halftime versus Nebraska? It would have been bad.
You got to look at what that team became once they even left college.
Yeah, the development just kept going and going.
Man,
yeah.
People forget Chris Campbell. He died. He was our linebacker. He would have been a second or third round pick. We were stacked.
Yeah.
We were stacked. The weakest part of our team was probably Ken Dorsey, and he's the all-time winningest quarterback ever, percentage-wise.
Right.
He's 34-2. lifetime with quarterback starts over 30 starts.
Yeah.
He's got the best record in the history of collegiate football.
Right. And I'm not taking anything from Ken Dorsey, but I think me and you could have been throwing the football and we'd have probably been all right.
Listen, he gave up 2 sacks the whole year.
Yeah. Here's an interesting stat. Miami would have went 8-4 if we scored 0 points on offense.
Yeah, I saw that stat.
8-4 with 0 points, and that's ridiculous. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Listen, from now on, after I do my video, my response to that 2001-2019 is I'm pleading the fifth, and I got plenty of practice doing that.
Yeah.
I'm just pleading the fifth.
Well, I'm glad that this was the last time you're going to talk about it. I really isn't. I just,
It's not even a. And if somebody wants to go, any LSU fan wants to go down the list with me, player by player, we could do that too.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, amazing. Best single season for, I think, a college football player that I ever saw.
Right.
The only one I'd say close, Barry Sanders, when he ran for the most yards.
Right.
But for a quarterback, Joe Burrow, incredible. And he gets that. He gets that.
Right.
When you say, who'd rather have Burrow or Dorsey? I say Burrow.
Yeah.
But
other than that,
and Dorsey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
other than that.
They had 2 really good receivers.
Yep. We had Andre Johnson, Roscoe Parrish.
We were loaded.
And Jeremy Shockey, Dorsey. Loaded. I mean, we had, people forget about Roscoe Parrish. The guy was incredible.
Listen, and he was a freshman on the team, but he didn't even play. He was on the scout team.
Yeah.
He was number 84 at the time. He wasn't even number 1 yet. So I don't have a lot of dialogue for that.
No,
we own that team.
Of course.
It's not even close.
So, and this is the last question about the past, and this is going to tie this in so that we can go into the future. If you could go back, what is one thing that you would change for the University of Miami so that this kind of thing just didn't blow up? Like, what's one thing you would change if you could change anything?
I really couldn't, because it was out of my control.
Okay.
I didn't start it. I sort of finished it.
Uh-huh.
You got to understand, and this is really like for all these like snitches get stitches guys, and I want to address that. Like, that's not anywhere close. Like, I took 20 years on the chin in my case for not talking.
Yeah.
The Miami case wasn't a criminal case. I had to defend my own credibility because I was in the middle of defending my credibility for my freedom. And now guys put their 2 cents in that shouldn't have.
Right.
I can't change anything.
Yeah.
It's an unfortunate sequence of events.
Yeah.
I prefer it would not have ever happened.
Of course.
But it's no different than, you get into a car accident because you were on your phone. You wish you didn't do it, but it happened.
Right. The way I view this, and I think that a lot of Miami fans will start to see this, is you rose to quote unquote power in a relatively quick time span. And when that happens, there's always people that are going to try and knock you down as you're climbing. And you got there so quick. Yeah. I wasn't overnight success, but
no, definitely not.
It's not. But you know what I mean?
And the paperwork in my case, which I'm happy to share online.
Yeah.
My IG posts, like the government acknowledges I was wealthy. They acknowledge in their language.
Yeah.
Up until 2007,
you were audited.
They don't internally audited.
Yeah.
Like they don't forensic audited.
Yep.
2 of the biggest companies in the.
That's big because I don't think people know that.
People think like I just one day woke up and said, I think I'll steal $930 million, which first of all, that wasn't really the number. Second of all, it's because I reached a point of success that I was able to
even do what you were doing.
Type of funds.
Right.
So the whole narrative, and that's going to come out in my life story and documentary, and as that's going to evolve, and people could say they don't like me and they don't want to watch, but they're going to watch. And I was a success story that turned into a tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm being completely honest.
Right.
So that doesn't mean I was an angel. I wasn't.
Yeah.
I broke some rules and I paid for certain things.
Right.
I can't get into the case for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I have an exclusivity on what I can say and what I can't as it relates to that, but I can speak about the Miami stuff.
Yeah.
And my story will come out, and it'll be authentic. It'll be the truth. And if people still want to feel the way they feel towards me in the negative,
yeah,
they're entitled. Everyone's
right,
entitled to
right.
Not everyone's going to like you. That's okay.
Yeah.
The people who know me, they love me.
Yeah. Yeah.
They love me. They would kill for me.
I've seen it, just so that this is not just from you. I've seen it firsthand. Phone calls.
I really got a good heart, man. And everyone be, oh yeah, you have such a good heart. You robbed this one. I didn't rob them.
Yeah.
I was forced to plead guilty, but that didn't mean I was the one who took their money.
Right.
I'm responsible, but I didn't steal their money.
Yeah.
That's going to come out too.
And just so the viewers know too, and I'm not paid to say this, I read some of the stuff that's gone on, and it's 100%, it's mind-boggling when you see it and you're like, wait a second, this isn't what, it's really like it takes you back.
It could happen to anybody.
It really could.
I mean, it happened to me.
Yeah.
And I was a young guy that made
early success.
I made a lot of big boy moves early on.
Yep.
And
people
came back to get me, and I just did a recent interview with a young guy who really had his game together, the Alchemist Library. And we didn't even talk about the universe map.
Yeah.
Maybe
I remember. Yeah. I watched it. Yeah.
And it was really all about my ego and the power of ego and what a detriment it could be and a real cancer. And, I want to do good things for society, and that's the truth. And I want to see people do well in life. I think we're in just a nasty world. Everyone hates everyone. This guy didn't do this. This guy. Worry about yourself. Do something for yourself. Don't worry about the next guy.
Yeah.
Try to help someone out. When you ran into me, however we met, would you believe you'd be sitting here getting this interview and sitting in my apartment 3-4 hours without me in my own apartment?
Not in a million years.
That tells you a little something about what kind of guy.
It does. It does.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's every single, not even, obviously actions speak louder than words, and just those actions alone. But, as it pertains to Miami, and regardless of all that stuff, it really is a twisted story. It's it's so backwards. It really is. It's astonishing. And unfortunately, nobody's going to be able to every single person's not going to be able to read all your stuff. Just obviously there's too many people, but eventually once your story comes out, but when you see the hard copies, black and white, it's,
I'm going to tell you, when I looked at stuff, when I was able to Google myself, for the first time since my arrest and the University of Miami scandal, I hated that guy. I said, that guy is a fucking scumbag. What a piece of shit. Oh my God, it's me. That's what I said. I couldn't believe reading that stuff.
Right.
And I pled guilty. I said, I pled guilty. I didn't want to plead guilty.
Yep.
I wasn't guilty to what I pled guilty to. I was guilty of certain things. I wasn't guilty for that. And all the victims in my case are, some of them know already and can't believe it.
Yeah.
And the rest of them, if not all of them, are gonna know.
Right.
Now I'm free, and it's I'm taking them right to where they're.
Second part of the story's
they're
coming
coming
out.
Right. Who got their money?
Right. Yeah.
And it's unavoidable. I'm free. There's nothing anyone can do to stop. I'm here.
Listen, as you know, and even some of the fans know, two things that sell in the media: controversy and fear. And those are the two rhetorics that they've pushed. It's they twist the story to make it appealing for the audience.
When people find out who represented me and who they got, when people see what took place, it's going to be like no one's going to believe it.
Yeah.
That's how incredible. I almost don't believe it. And I lived it.
Yeah.
So I get it. I understand why people feel the way they feel. And they're entitled. But at least here's my chance to give my side.
Exactly.
I've never spoken.
I know. And to put this to bed, and then we're going to get into the present Miami. I feel, we've talked about this, there just has to be a statute of limitation on Nevin Shapiro and Miami.
How many times can I keep getting blamed?
But what I'm saying is it's been 20 years.
I mean,
it's 2025. We started sucking in 2005. Right. You know, it's been 20 years. Really. Well, listen, if someone wanted to blame you in the first 5 years, okay, I could see a case for that.
Listen, there was so much uncertainty because of the scandal, what was going to happen in Miami and this and that.
Right.
So coaches recruited against that, and I get it. But really, there's a 3-year window and a moratorium. We still haven't recovered. How's Indiana recovered in a year? How's Arizona State recovered in a year?
Yep. Even Manny Diaz went 9-3.
Listen, you can go on and on.
Yeah.
What's his name? Herman Edwards is the coach. Antonio Pierce, who became coach of the Raiders, he got a show cause for 8 years or 5 years. Like, Arizona State recovered. They were on probation, and then they were in the playoffs.
Right.
2 years.
Yep.
So give me a break. Give me a break. Own this shit.
Yep.
Own this shit, which you're going to get into and segue into with Mario.
Yep.
And I'm going to give you the whole scoop on what you want to hear, what they want to hear. And this is what it is. And I'm getting it from as close as you're going to get it.
Yeah.
What it really is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and there's another thing we discussed, this is the true curse of the Bambino. I mean, it really is. Yeah. And now that you're out, now that you're a free man, this is where it could start to be lifted and we can get this monkey off our back. It really, truly is.
We are just too loaded with resources.
We are in the greatest location.
We are too loaded with resources.
Yeah.
Not to be booking reservations every year for the playoffs. Period.
I mean, listen, we're in Boca Raton right now. You guys, who wouldn't want to be here?
Well, I would. I'd rather be in Italy.
Well, in the summer.
Yeah.
In the summer. Yeah, I mean, right now it's beautiful outside. I mean, it's like, my buddy lives in Ohio. It's freaking like 9 degrees. It's snowing. I mean, it's like, this is where you want to be, and again, the resources and everything. Obviously now we could segue into the present, of how disappointing, it was this year. As you just spoke about, Kirk Cignetti takes a program that's went 3 games. They've won 9 games in 3 years, and he takes them to the playoff. Sure, they got blown out versus Notre Dame, but
no excuse.
he got there.
Mike, there's no excuse.
Yeah.
I'm not a Mario Cristobal hater. Mario and I got along very well back when.
Uh-huh.
And I advocated very strongly for him when Randy Shannon became the head coach. So I go back with Mario.
Yeah.
But now Mario's a different guy now. Mario's an $80 million man. And now the stakes change. And the expectations are different. You're not a graduate assistant. You're not an assistant. You're not a line coach. Now you're the guy. You're making decisions. You're the CEO. Shit wins, you take credit. Shit gets crushed, you get crushed. That's just how it is. And, I'm hearing a lot. I'm not here. I know. There's a lot of guys that really don't like coaching for him. That's why he's had drop-offs like Josh Gaddis. How did he go from being the Frank Broyles award winner for the #1 assistant coach in the nation to getting fired a year later after coming to mind? Did he forget that much about football in 1 year? No, there's obviously a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Steele stepped down as defense coordinator. Charlie Strong, not a great head coach, albeit a very qualified and established
DC
defense coordinator. How does he get passed over by Lance Guidry? You can go on. And it appears to me that there's just yes men in place, and I get that from everybody inside.
Okay.
And I get that from former players. I don't get that from. I get that from the real.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of dissatisfied natives.
So to clear it up, Mario passed over Charlie Strong.
Well, he stepped down. Why did he step down? He stepped down because he wasn't named the defense coordinator. So that's just simple math.
Right.
Why else did he step down? That's why he stepped down. How do you not make him the defense coordinator?
I know.
Just on his resume only, if nothing else.
I know.
But I'm not the head coach, and Mario is. And I think Mario Cristobal can be that guy for us. Mm-hmm. And I do believe he can. But Mario's got to get that ego in check, like I had just mentioned about egos.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to be like the dictator. You need help sometimes where you need help.
Right.
You want to strengthen the offensive line because you're an offensive line coach. Focus hard on that end.
Right.
Get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
On defense.
Exactly. And he's done a great job on the offensive line.
Listen, get out of the way.
Yeah.
And bring in some guys that are going to help. And share credit.
Let them run
Share
that part
credit,
of it. Yeah.
And you form it as a team. If you don't like it, tough. That's what it is. And if the fans don't like it, tough. That's what it is.
Now, you knowing him on a personal level, do you feel that that's possible? That he could put his ego aside?
Only he can answer that.
Right.
I don't know. Everyone's subject to change.
Right.
You know. I
But
know.
your opinion?
I think he's got a free pass with his situation with the Moss brothers.
Okay.
So I think next year he's looking at like reality because there's no Cam Ward. So he had the best quarterback in America this year, and they lost 3 games. So now next year they're not going to have the best quarterback in America, more than likely.
And their schedule is 10 times harder.
Whatever it is, we're going to really find out. Coaches do more with less. So let's find out what he does without Cam Ward. Maybe they end up getting this kid Carson Beck. You know, there's 1,000 rumors.
Right.
I have heard that Jalen Milroe was inevitably a Miami guy if he didn't go to the league.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a number of things. You never know what's real, what's not.
Right.
The deal could come in right under our feet while we're talking right now. You just never know.
Even Luke Nickel can come in and be that
you
guy.
Have no idea.
Yeah.
And from what I'm told, I personally I give the eye test. I don't think Emory Williams is he doesn't do it for me. But from what I'm told, he's very good in practice. And he's on point. And I'm getting this from offensive guys. I'm getting this from offensive guys. That he is solid. He is on point. And they basically squashed his play calls for that second half of that game. So that's why he looked, if you're just going to hand the ball off,
Right.
It's not
very short intermediate throws.
It wasn't the greatest situation to throw that kid into, in his defense.
Right.
So I don't want to bash him. Maybe he's better than.
He's got a whole year to develop it,
we'll see. But, I believe Mario's got 2 years. I really thought he had 1. But from what's been shared with me in the last few days, he's definitely got half the contract to work with, which would give him 2 years.
Right. Well, if the contract's 8 years, right?
10.
Was it 10? Okay. I thought it was 8.
10 years, 80 million.
10 for 80, that's right.
Listen, that seat is that seat's hot now. Next year, there's smoke under it.
Yeah.
The following year, he's on the barbecue.
And I feel like if you're a real fan, if you're not biased, and you really look at it from what we've seen, we're staring at 6-6, 7-5 right in the face.
I don't project because what's happened, and I answered this a lot of times in my podcasts that I do with Beyond the Narrative Sports.
Mm-hmm.
And is the U back? That's the question. Is the U back?
Yeah.
And I say, well, it looks like they're back. The U's really back? And I gave this answer a few months ago. The U's really back when they're not losing to bullshit teams like, I don't want to call it
Middle Tennessee State.
Well, I think they're past that. But to be down 25 to Cal is unacceptable.
Yep.
It's unacceptable.
Yep.
To lose to Georgia Tech as a 2-touchdown or a 12-point favorite, unacceptable. Same with Syracuse. Unacceptable.
I was at that game.
Unacceptable. It's just unacceptable. So when is Miami back? When they're not dropping games that you could never see them losing.
Yeah.
That's when they're back.
Right.
When they're losing to teams that like a road game. When they're losing, let's say a better Florida State team on the road, you could live with that.
Right.
In today's climate, you can live with that.
Yeah.
When you're losing to like a Notre Dame on the road or a Florida per se on the road, or
right,
these teams on the road,
yep,
you can live with that.
Yeah.
I can't live with losing to Syracuse on the road. I just can't.
Mm-hmm.
Or a BC or Georgia Tech even. I can't.
I started from a fan's perspective. When I started to actually believe in Mario Cristobal was when we lost by 1 touchdown to Florida State in 2023 when they had that stacked team with Jordan Travis, and Emory Williams was a true freshman coming in, and we had the ball to go and score and tie that game.
That was a straight rivalry, Miami State.
Yeah. And it's like we weren't nowhere near their caliber, and we hung in there and we fought. And I said, you know what? Mario Cristobal coached really well today, and I think that the program is going to excel in that. And since that game,
so let's talk about what Mario has done.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's talk about what he's done well. I'm not a Mario basher.
Offensive line for me is number one.
Offensive line's been great. He's cleaned up the talent to where it's stacked talent.
Yep. Across the board.
There's stacked talent. There's talent there. They lost to some teams they should not have lost.
No.
They got a lot more talent there.
Yep.
And, NIL's helped, no question. Like, he did get Cam Ward. He did get Damian Martinez.
Right.
So you got to give him credit
Yep.
for those worthwhile moves.
Right. Now, do you believe he's an $80 million recruiter?
Jury's out on him for me. I mean, jury's out. Just on what I know.
Okay.
What I know. What's fed to me.
Yeah.
And what's fed to me is real.
Right. Oh, I see it for. I've seen it. Yep.
And it's high school guys, local, meaning Tri-County, parents, kids. I hear a lot.
Right.
I don't even ask for it.
Yeah, they just share it with
for me.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of times the players are talking to me and they know, I got no boundaries.
Yeah.
And I'll put out a lot of what they're feeling because they know I'll put it out.
Right.
So if you hear me barking, I don't want to say I'm taking orders. I'm just passing. I'm just a messenger.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because these guys don't want to get blackballed from the school where they're not allowed
they
down
need,
on the field.
Exactly.
They don't get their passes.
You're their voice.
Listen, I'll be whatever they want me to be. I love the program. I'll always love the program. I regret what happened. The fans should, fuck him, this and that. Listen, if I was welcomed back, I'd do my part. The school never had me back, and that's okay too. I still want them to win anyway.
Let me ask you this then, a perfect segue into this question. Now that you're free, do you still have built up passion inside of you to bring back the program?
I'm nowhere close to what I used to be.
Okay.
As far as live or die, man.
Okay.
That comes with a lot of heartbreak.
Why do you feel that way?
My heart got broken.
Yeah.
I was really let down by kids that I really cared a lot about. And I forgive a lot of them. Some of them I still feel a certain way towards because they still feel a certain way.
Yeah.
Because deep down they know what they did was wrong towards me.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Everyone chooses their path in life, and we all live by our decisions,
right? For
better or worse. I don't have that same passion because I think it was an illness. I couldn't sleep for weeks if we lost. I took that shit personal. It superseded my personal life,
right? And
I used to get bent out of shape. So I understand why people hate my guts and fuck this guy and this, and I get it. I used to feel that way. If someone tried to do that to my program, I think they'd feel they get the same from me. So I get it. But I love the program, and it's an unfortunate thing. Anything I could do to help that program, I would always help. And I just know that if things were in a different structure, I'd put us where we need to be. Because I know what it is. I know what it is, man. It's a Miami recipe, but it takes someone who's been there. I just know what we need, man.
Yeah.
And I know what the fan base is dying for.
History can always repeat itself.
Season and the ability to just talk shit.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
I am. That's what I am. I take on that.
Is there any way that you could be the guy in the background?
People probably say, like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, what the fuck does this guy know?
Yeah.
Would you concur or would you disagree?
I disagree. I mean,
You've seen it.
Yeah. I mean, there's just,
All right.
yeah, I've seen it firsthand. Like there's not.
With the corporate money, and, and I can't touch money because of my case, and I can't get involved with money. But that don't mean others can't. With a very serious professor or consultant behind, do this, do that, do this, do that. My mouthpiece is still 5-star material.
Right.
So I know what it would take. They got a running start, Miami. They got the city. The 305's on their back, man. It's a big deal.
Right.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. And something like this, though, I mean, it takes work. It takes a lot of work, and there's a lot of moving pieces to be able
1 year.
As far as on your end, to be able to,
I know exactly what I would do. I mean, I'm not. And I'm not
right.
I would never.
We don't want to share that with
because I'm not going to
Florida State.
I'm not going to give away what I would do.
Yeah.
To anyone. There's a few guys that know.
Right.
And they're like former players, and they're like, dude, you got it.
Well, let's clear that up too for them. Has the former players came back to you begging and asking you?
I wouldn't say begging.
Okay.
I don't want to, put it in those terms.
Okay.
I've been humbly requested.
I'm sure. I could only imagine.
To get involved.
Yeah.
And it's not only the University of Miami, even though that's where my heart lies.
I'm sure it's other programs.
More than you can imagine. It's sort of like, it's very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Smart. That's the word I would use. Because once they get to know you and they realize what
it's
yeah.
Makes me a little bit proud,
to
hear that.
Yeah.
It's flattering.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's legal. It's crazy what's out. It's crazy.
It is the Wild Wild West.
Oh my God.
And we don't have to get into the NCAA. I know you've done a lot of podcast stuff on that, but
oh, they're trash. I mean,
yeah,
they should just throw in their towel.
Yeah. And I've read some of that stuff. That stuff is even crazier.
Yeah. They're a bunch of wankers.
Yeah.
They're wanksters for real, man. Like,
yeah.
It's not even about them. Who cares? Like, they don't even matter.
Yeah. They don't even pay the players.
It's like stepping over.
Yeah.
They don't even matter.
Yeah.
But Mario's got everything he needs, man.
But okay, so if you were in control right now, who would be the head coach?
I'd be okay with Mario as the head coach.
If he could just put the ego aside.
Mario's got to
breathe.
You know what I mean?
So then, okay, if he's the head coach, who's your OC, who's your DC?
Ken Dorsey.
Okay. Okay. I like it. I already know.
The former players really want Randy Shannon.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just telling
you. Yeah.
They want Randy Shannon as the defense coordinator. Randy Shannon will never coach under Mario Cristobal. So that's it's just move.
Yep, that's a nugget for you guys. There you go. Yep.
Don't quote me that Randy Shannon said that. I'm just telling you, he'd never coach under Mario Cristobal.
Yeah.
That won't happen.
Yeah. Because he wouldn't be a yes man.
I can't tell the reasons why. I could just tell you he would never coach for Mario Cristobal.
Okay.
But it'd be a wise hire. People think he wasn't great as a head coach. I could go with that. But they would have won the national title this year if he was a defense coordinator.
Right. I agree.
This year.
Yep. And if you look at what he's done at Florida State, he held Cam Ward to no touchdown. He had a receiving touchdown, but no passing or rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, that was his work.
It was his work, 100%. And, if you look at that game, really look at it, I mean, their secondary is awesome at FSU. It's not their secondary reason why they were 2-10. If
you asked me who would be my dream team that I would put together.
Okay. I like this.
As a coaching staff, I'd pick my own head coach. I don't want to come out and say it because I just don't want to come out and say it. But I'd go a different direction.
Okay.
I don't think the fan base would be unhappy.
I doubt it.
I'll tell you what. Let's 2 years from now come back and
talk
wherever
about
I
this.
am in life, hopefully alive, but wherever I am in life, wherever I am in life, let's have this conversation in 2 years, and then I'll drop it on you because he's got 2 years. So I don't want to whisk him off.
What if he pulls a Mike Norvell and he goes 2-10? You think it's 1 year?
I think the fans need to come for him the way they came for me.
I agree. So that's a valid point.
I didn't take $80 million.
Yeah. But he still has. I mean, does he still have the free reins right now to be able to still acquire talent?
I don't think. I think they pump their brakes. I think you got to look at it like what's in it for the Moss brothers. Whoever's spitting the money. Everyone was talking about John Ruiz. I don't know what his involvement is at this point or not.
Yeah, there's been a little business.
I know he had issues with the SEC and whatever, so I don't know
where
that stands. But his name's died down.
But to clear it up for everyone, the Moss brothers are involved in helping the University of Miami acquire talent.
So I'm sure at some point they got to look at what's their ROI.
Right.
What's their return on investment? Well, I can tell you what it was for Cam Ward. Nothing.
It was a waste.
Not because of Cam Ward.
He turned caviar into Pop-Tarts.
Not because of Cam Ward.
No, absolutely not.
Right?
And there was very suspect decisions that I know the fan base was very upset about, a.k.a. Syracuse game, 4th and 10. You kicked the field goal.
I can't live with that.
You got it. I hear you.
My beef is, man, that's my beef.
Right there. Not taking a knee versus Georgia Tech.
Crazy on Instagram. And you know what? Like, listen, you don't trust Cam Ward, but you trust that defense?
Exactly.
Oh, my God. What are you thinking?
I was there to witness it.
What are you thinking? I'm sort of curious. Oh, we're going to stop him. Okay, so stop him from 90 yards out instead of 60 yards out.
Yeah.
What? I can't even discuss that call.
I was there for both.
That was it for me.
Okay, let me put it to you this way. There's been 3 controversial calls games that Mario Cristobal has had as a head coach, in my opinion, as a diehard fan. Number 1, Middle Tennessee State at home, getting absolutely embarrassed in his first year. Okay, Kirk Cignetti would have never done that, in my opinion. Look what he did with Indiana. Not a great schedule, but they beat the teams that they were supposed to beat. Okay, Middle Tennessee State should never, ever be on the playing field with the University of Miami in any capacity. I don't even care if we're on sanctions. It's just, okay, number 2, Georgia Tech at home not taking a knee. Witnessed that game in person. I was walking out, and then I hear on the intercom, fumble. Why are we handing the ball off? 3rd, 4th, and 10, Syracuse. Those are the 3 controversial pivotal points.
No one's going to ever mistake Mario for Lane Kiffin with regards to dialing up plays.
What do you mean by that?
He's not the greatest play caller of all time.
Do you feel that he's involved in the play calling with Shannon Dawson?
I don't know. He's the head coach.
Yeah.
I don't care who's involved with the play calling.
Yeah.
He's the head coach. Take it. I'm going to give you my Nevin Shapiro's biggest problem with Mario Cristobal. I'm going to tell you my problem. I look at Mario and I see a guy that wants to be Nick Saban in his answers, preparation, punching a guy in the mouth.
Right.
And it's just not authentic. The difference between him and Nick Saban is 8 national titles. Yeah. Be who you are. Just be who you are.
Yeah.
Because the guy that you're pretending to be, I don't like so much. You're a 500 coach.
Pretty much. Yeah. He had the same record at, I think.
Take Cam Ward
off
this team.
Oh.
He's got a losing record.
Worse than Manny Diaz.
Okay? And that's my problem with Mark. That's my personal problem with Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking coach your team and build a program. Don't get into being a dictator and being the tough guy. Build your program, man. Just build your program. Coach your team. It's too much like, let me ask you a question. You're interviewing me, but let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you think Miami, not based on talent,
okay,
do you think they deserve to be one of the 12 playoff teams?
Yes.
Okay. Talent-wise or based on the way the record fell?
Talent-wise.
I agree.
Yeah.
Based on the way the record fell?
No.
That's the question. So the reason I asked you that is he's still making excuses. Was Miami better than Indiana? Yes. Were they better than SMU? Yes. Were they better than Arizona State? Yes. Were they better than Notre Dame or Penn State? I think yes.
Yeah. It'd be a shootout.
But do they deserve to be in the playoffs based on the way the system was set up? How do you put them in if they don't make the championship game? You don't.
Yeah.
You don't.
You had 3 quarters up 21. You're in.
They were giving a mulligan against Georgia.
Yep.
Okay. Because that game, I thought it was over if they lost that game. When they lost, I couldn't believe they still had a chance, and they did. And they were giving a mulligan. They were up 21. Man, you fucking run the ball down that shit-ass defense throat.
Yep.
He doesn't deserve it. He didn't deserve to win a national title.
I agree.
He didn't deserve it.
We have spoken on this, and if you're a real, true, diehard fan, you're upset. But if you're honest with yourself,
he didn't deserve it.
We didn't deserve to be in.
Cam Ward was fucking incredible, man. He was the best. Everyone says Travis Hunter was the Heisman. Listen, if Mario Cristobal cost Cam Ward the Heisman Trophy, they should have no losses.
Yep.
That's my real opinion.
And if you just take him, put him on Ohio State, they would freaking be.
Listen, man, that's my beef with him.
Yeah.
That's my beef, and he's still crying spilled milk. Well, what are you lobbying for? Man?
Yeah.
You lost fucking twice in the regular season.
Yep.
Like you lost twice. Okay, other teams did too, but not the teams you were favored by 12 points or more.
Right.
It's just not acceptable.
And it's hard for me to even think about like other scenarios, like what if Jeremiah Smith would have came? Would that have changed things?
I know why he didn't come. That was given to me. I'm being told, and this is what I'm told.
Okay.
That doesn't mean it's 100%, but I'm being told his father wanted his son developed at receiver.
Wow.
That's what I'm told.
So did he?
Brian Hartline. That's what I'm told.
He's great. Blank. He's great. I can't. He's produced a lot of great talent.
I mean, I'm just telling you. That's what I was.
Yeah,
told.
I like it.
My opinion.
Right. I like Kevin Beard. I do. I've always liked him.
I listen. Their receivers did great this year.
Yep.
I don't think
he was.
Cole George, solid.
Mm-hmm.
I think Arroyo could be. I mean, I think he's a sleeper.
He really is. Such a big guy, can run.
He can run.
Yep.
He's good, man. Like,
yep.
Even
the backup, Elijah Lofton is great.
Listen,
they had
an abundance of offense.
It's almost talking about it. It's getting me upset. They had
an abundance of offense talent.
Yeah.
People are like, this guy's a hater. No, I'm not. I'm honest. And if you don't like what I'm saying, then you're just not honest with yourself.
Right.
They should have been in the Orange Bowl today. They should be playing the Orange Bowl. You should be you should be doing push-ups right now for tomorrow.
Yep.
What's today? Tuesday or Wednesday?
Wednesday. It would be tomorrow.
You should be doing push-ups. Like, man, I'm fired up. I can't. I got energy. I got nervous energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Every Miami fan should be.
Listen, I was at the Syracuse game in the middle of a blizzard going through to get there. And walking out of that stadium, it was one of the lowest points that I felt as a University of Miami fan. That's saying a lot because understanding what we had. When you walk out, I've walked out of that stadium.
This was a gold mine.
It really was. It really, really was. Because what I was going to finish saying was, I've walked out of Hard Rock Stadium and the Orange Bowl growing up as a kid towards the end of that 2006, 2007, 2008, and obviously all the shit years we've had at Hard Rock. I've walked out of that stadium 5-7, getting blown out to Al Golden era, 52-0 at halftime to Clemson.
Oh.
I've been there. I could tell you numbers. I've been at all these games. I haven't missed a home game in 10 years, at least. Mm-hmm. When I walk out and we're that bad, I know we're bad. I'm like, Al Golden sucks. We're bad. We're just a bad team. We had the guys. So it hurt more.
No excuse.
It hurt way more than when we were 5-7. It hurt way more because you don't suck. It's like you look at the paper, you're like, how the hell did you lose?
I said that, listen, I have a neighbor who I watch all the games with. He's sort of similar age to me. But he's not a Miami guy. He's from Maryland's his team. And he says, dude, what's the problem with this team? He goes, can you point out the players on your team, like Miami's talent? I go, sure. 5-star, 4-star, 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 5-star, 3-star, 5-star.
Yep.
And he's like, what? Yeah.
Yeah. And to clear it up for people that live out of state, a 3-star in South Florida is like a 4-star or a 5-star in a lot of other states.
Of course.
I played high school football with Calvin Ridley at Monarch High School. I played with Jerry Jeudy. My brother played with Xavier Restrepo at Monarch High School. These kids were raw talent from the jump. As soon as they stepped foot, I was starting in front of Jerry Jeudy only because he was a freshman and I was a senior, and he quickly took my spot. And they pulled him off JV in the second week. They're like, you're going right to VAR. Are you kidding? This guy was incredible. Yeah. And Calvin Ridley took me into to see Pete Carroll's son, who was the tight ends coach at the time.
Brandon Carroll?
Yep. He was our tight ends coach in 2014. And he knew how diehard of Canes fan I was. And he took me into the locker room. Denzel Perryman was our linebacker at the time. And they were trying to recruit Calvin hard. They were pushing for him hard. And I was pushing Calvin to try and go to the U. He made the right decision. He played for Nick Saban every single year. I think he lost 1 year. He went all three, lost 1 year to Deshaun Watson.
See, all these guys, and there's another thing. All these guys that Nick Saban ended up pulling with.
Mari Cooper, all these guys.
If I'm around, those guys aren't going. Dalvin Cook, these guys, they don't go.
And I think at this point in the interview, the fans are maybe starting to agree with you on that topic.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. Sure. Jeremiah Smith's not. He's wearing a U. Come on, man. Yep.
Teddy Bridgewater was my kid too, man. Dude.
That whole deal fell through. Of
course, they all went with Clint Hurt. Clint Hurt was my guy, and Clint was Miami's best recruiter.
But that was right when the whole shit started.
He built Charlie Strong's whole roster in Louisville.
Yep.
That was my whole plan.
It was Northwestern, right?
That was 2 years before.
Yeah, that was Ja'Cory.
Yeah. Sean Spence, Darius Johnson, Marcus Fortson, all those guys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a whole different clip, man.
Right.
Teddy was on the back end of it.
Yeah.
I can go on.
And we're going to wrap up here pretty soon, but one of the bigger topics, too, I wanted to kind of allude to before we did end the podcast was the inner city. Because this is, I know, the reason why Miami dominated so much back in the day, in their heyday, was guys from the inner city staying home and building, Howard Schnellenberger started it, leaving his smoke pipe and the guys who were really Melvin Bratton and all the guys that were really good. Do you feel like Mario is starting to lose the inner city?
I've heard some stories that are not so positive.
Okay. Because that's when I think it's over. If the inner city's lost, you're toast. It's hard to recover from that.
There's so many dynamics moving now.
Yeah. There's money involved, but I get it.
I can tell you,
yeah.
I'm not going to blow this guy's spot up.
Okay.
But there's a 5-star local talent pretty close to Miami.
Okay.
He's not going to Miami, and I already know the reasons why. And can I have something to do to change it? I don't know.
Please.
But I can tell you, Miami's not on his radar, and he's close by.
Yeah.
And they may think they have a chance, but I'm telling you, they don't.
Can you say that it's developmental?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I figured it was. He feels he's probably not going to be developed correctly.
That's the exact answer.
Okay. That's
and it's not even his decision.
Yeah. It's probably his father's or someone close to him. I'm not going to have you get into it. I'm just, I get it.
I'll tell you off.
I got you. But, and I look
because now it's negotiations.
Yeah.
So it's almost like torturous interference.
Yeah.
If I say something, because there's so much money involved now with these kids.
I hear you.
And I got nothing to do with the money whatsoever.
And that's why it's even more scary that we're even talking about the inner city and there's money involved. Because if you're losing the inner city and you have money, you got a problem. A bigger one than you could ever think. Because money talks and bullshit walks, just like we know. And
you better fix that curse of the Bambino, man.
I hear it. Listen, you didn't want to talk about begging from the fan base, from the former players. From a fan base, we are begging. I will vouch for all UM fans.
Say rat and rat. What
They're
are you talking
crazy.
about? Rat, man, I got 20 years. I pled for 10. My paperwork says it all.
And listen,
says it all.
As a fan,
and you know what? Listen, I get the fan base, but like, oh, he didn't have shit to do this and that. If there's one person out there that wants to speak to me in person with receipts, speak to this guy, and he'll arrange it.
Yep.
I got all the receipts, man. You know what? You've seen it.
Yeah.
I left them with you.
Yeah. And listen, when this video goes up, please comment, and we'll get back to you guys. And
if you got something horrible you want to say about me, give your personal contact information to this guy, and he'll arrange a call. You could tell me to my face how you feel.
Yeah.
And if you feel otherwise and you want to share love, you could tell me to my face.
Yeah.
Anyone that has approached me and I've given my number to doesn't feel the way they used to feel.
And they won't leave you the hell alone.
I feel like Dr. Phil to the University of Miami fan base. I get more text messages. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can a guy just enjoy his life without the you?
Listen, like I said a little earlier, if we're talking about the first 4 to 5 years after the whole thing went down,
there's a statute of limitations.
It has to be.
They're up.
It's been up.
They're up.
Long
if we
time.
Go to court, man. I win.
You're not even in prison anymore.
I'm free as a bird, man.
We've went through your entire prison sentence, and people are still.
I'm back before the you.
What a statement! Yeah,
Someone tweeted that. I'm just borrowing it.
Okay, I mean, I didn't hear that. That was good. I mean, it's the truth.
Yeah,
Yeah, you are, and this could have been the year that we could have said otherwise.
True.
If you feel that Mario's the guy, who do you think he needs to hire at defensive coordinator right now? Because you said that Randy's not an option. Who's the DC that you think he needs to go after to kind of save his job?
I'd say Clint Hurt.
Okay.
I don't think they bring Clint Hurt back because of the situation with me. Clint Hurt's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Clint Hurt would recruit like fuck for them. And he's got NFL experience now, which matters.
Yeah. Who's he currently coaching for right now?
Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator.
That's right. That's right.
Seattle's last year, the year before.
Yeah. And they're going to make a Super Bowl run this year.
I think he's a good.
You think he would come back?
I can't answer that.
Okay.
I don't know.
No opinion?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't had any conversation. I regret his name being thrown in the mix too. Just
right.
You know.
Have you heard about who they're maybe going after?
No, I've heard about what you probably hear. The guy from Georgia Tech is who I heard. I know they were
Didn't they offer the
guy from
volunteers?
Tennessee,
Yeah, Tennessee,
turned down.
DC.
The reason is because guys are hearing about what it's like to coach a program.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah.
appears to be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He better plug that problem.
Right. Right. Listen, you have anything else you'd like to clear up for anybody? I mean, this has been awesome.
No, man.
As a Canes fan, this has been. I hope you guys enjoy this. This was awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Listen, we can do it again, and
Yeah.
you'll be around. I'm gonna bring you to some things so you could really see what it's like, the inner linings of what goes down.
Right.
And you don't like something, tell him. He'll give me the message.
Yeah.
You can tell me directly.
Well, we appreciate Nevin for you coming on the show. This is great. This is going to be the first episode of the show. There's going to be a lot more content coming, so please please subscribe, and go Canes.
It's all about the you, man.
It's all about the you. Always will be.
Yeah, that's right. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Is there any
Awesome.
question I knew these
That
guys?
was great.
I'll do it.
Like people are still not sure.
See, dude, now you're like, fuck it, this is my career. Exactly. I'm doing this shit forever. Yes. Bro, honestly, that wasn't